Hello, y'all. I am back with another episode or lesson number three. Okay. This is Irene's guide to avoiding the unhealthy. So, this lesson is going to be about, or this episode is going to be about why it happens. So, go back to lesson or episode two so you can get a little of the history about the boy from high school that I'm having the current problem with. So, why is it happening? Okay. I mentioned threats, serious death threats. I'm going to add this. The threats are also coming from the woman that he's involved with. Remember, all narcissists will ultimately end up with someone, in a lot of cases, not all cases, with someone that is as evil and as wicked as they are. Why does that happen? That's part of karma. Why do you think they're all going to keep getting good people in their lives, right? So, why it's happening is this: no one stopped it, right? So, with this particular abuser, this boy from high school, that's of course no longer in high school because obviously I'm not in high school anymore. He's had a long history of getting away with it. I mean, there's things that this boy has done. And going back to lesson two or episode two, I told y'all I'm not going to be calling him a man, okay? Because this is not how men act. So even though he's a man in age, for my videos, he will often be referred to as a boy. So this boy is doing this because he's not been properly disciplined for this behavior. He he was my first love in high school. I was a virgin and he was my high school sweetheart. So, of course, when I met him, I didn't know what a narcissist was. I didn't know about narcissism, but I quickly found out that he had a mask. So, initially, he was very charming. Ultimately, before I moved out of that state, this same boy spit at me. And of course, I mean, that's an assault. So my reaction to it was I was pissed. Even though I was a little girl myself, I knew that this boy should not be spitting at me. So he's always had an evil nature, right? But ultimately, when people get middle age and older and the behavior continues, for one, they're more sick and they're more evil and they're more wicked. They're more cocky because they've gotten away with it. Now, when he got with his second victim, which is another victim that went to high school with me, however, he did not meet her in high school. He met her because she was a cute girl with a big booty, cute, pretty face with a big booty walking down the street. And this boy from high school that I was with first was in a car. I'm not sure if he was driving the car or the passenger. He was in that particular car and he waved her down. He's out hunting for victims. He's always been a hunter. He's always been hunting and actively hunting, still to this day. He claims that he loves women and girls. This is how he expresses himself to the outside world. When he say he loves them, he means in a sexual and a physical way, in an addiction way. He loves. I love girls because I love to do what I do to them, right? And so, if he genuinely loved them, he would not be threatening them. He's assaulted them physically. I was fortunate enough. I left him when I was a young girl, and I ended up moving out of state. And it wasn't no pretty grass greener on the other side on that end, because I ended up with another narcissist and sociopath, right? So see, this pattern continues. So why does he do this? Why does this boy do this? For one, he's comfortable doing it. Two, there's already been things he's done that I probably should have maybe called the police way back then. Three, he sees my growth. So he doesn't see any violent temperaments on my part. Now, the difference between me and him is I'm not violent. You can't make me violent or make me show any violent nature if I'm not in self defense, right? Versus him being a narcissist, you know how they are. They can be violent and you're saying, hey, you want this coffee? This is a great cup of coffee. Would you like some? That narcissist can flip out and start calling you all kind of names, snatch your coffee cup out of your hand and throw it on the ground. I thought of that because I'm holding a coffee mug, y'all. There's not any coffee in here. There was a little latte that I had at home, but I just threw out that example. And you know, you've been through these situations. So this particular boy, when he got with the second victim, the cute, pretty girl with the big booty, and I want to point that out because she was an immediate sex object to him, right? When I was a little girl, I was not as developed as she was. I was the little skinny girl. I had some little hips on me, but I didn't have that big of a booty. I am full figured now. I got a lot to offer you now, but back then, I was not that girl. However, I don't want to have too much to offer. That's why I lost 18 pounds. And I had to get that extra off of me. People think my weight is fine on me. However, a lot of them did not see when I had the extra 18 to 20 pounds on me. It just wasn't cute, y'all. Not for me. One reason it wasn't cute is because I was having trouble breathing when I walked down the steps. My body is just not meant to carry all that weight. I'm sorry. But I am thick, but that was just 18 to 20 pounds is good to get off. So anyway, going back, why is the boy still doing it? And we're up in age. For one, he's miserable. Two, he sees a growth. I mean, he sees a nature in me. It's almost like I've been able to revert back to the nature I was when I first met him before I became angry myself after dealing with narcissists, right? So obviously there may be, even if it's subconscious, a jealous nature within him because I attended a funeral back in Texas where the funeral was, which is where this narcissist resides. He did no behavior of violence when I was in person. However, he very much denied me my rights to see other relatives, right, that are minors. So he is an abuser. Why is he doing it? Okay, for one, when you're sweet, people get to know you. So he knows that I know that he's also grieving also because of our relative that passed away, was killed. We were both caught off guard. So he knows that the old Irene is not going to really do too much about his violent nature and his venting and his violence and him just showing who he is in general, showing his hate and all of his chaos. He figures that, well, she'll just leave it alone because she knows I'm grieving. But remember, so am I. So These type of people with this violent nature, what they fail to realize is that you're not going to keep caring. See, you know what a narcissist is. I have the ability at this point in my life to only look out for my best interests, right? I don't care that he's grieving. I'm grieving too, but I'm not going around threatening people, telling them I'm going to bash their head in. This is what the woman is saying. He actually had such little love or any drop of basic care for me while I'm grieving. He didn't even stop this lady that he's with from saying she would bash my head in, beat me when she see me, all this stuff. None of these threats were ever in person. Why wasn't any of these threats done when I was in person? For one, I had family there, my blood family, right? For one, I have a reputation of hitting you back, right? So I'm not really somebody that you really want to just walk over here, snatch this tablet out of my hand, throw it down, and come push me off this seat that I'm in. Even at my age that I am now, I might or probably would defend myself if I could, just off instinct. You come over here and hit me, you might just get hit back, right? I mean, you see women in nursing homes do it. When some of those caregivers come over, those cruel caregivers come over and hit people in nursing homes, sometimes you will see that old lady, that elderly lady, fight back, even if she throws her pillow at them. I'm one of those women. I could see myself doing that. Some of those elderly people don't have all that bad karma on them. They've actually been pretty good people. They weren't racist. They weren't abusers. That's not how they live. They love the Lord. So you going over there, you're a caregiver, and you're kicking this elderly lady, she kicks back. That's me. So that's why I wasn't threatened in person, in the physical sense. So why it's happening is literally this. He hasn't been stopped. Why hasn't he been stopped? Stopping someone is not just killing them, going by their house, doing a drive-by. All the victims fell weak. I mean, they went into depressions. They see the good nature in them, or they try to see the good nature and they just don't want to do them like that. You never know how many other people he's threatening. But all the victims are going to say, no, well, don't do that to this boy / man because he's grieving. But listen to me very carefully so you'll get this. Because remember, I'm Irene, and this is a guide for you to, and myself, for you to avoid the unhealthy. So this is how to avoid this. Don't care. It ain't your problem when someone's threatening you that they're grieving. That's why they make state hospitals and mental institutions. He can go there. He has a grudge. For one, his second victim that he met when we were in high school, even though he didn't meet her at the high school, he used to tell her when he got angry with her, this was the way he abused her. He told her, I should have just stayed with Irene. I wish I would have stayed with Irene. She told me he said this, and this is what this victim said to him. She said, I wish your A would have. I'm going to try to avoid profanity. However, I am going to use the profanity if I'm repeating what they said. So this is what she told him. I wish your ass would have stayed with Irene. Okay, so that particular victim, he hates that one too. Okay, so he's in this attack of me and her. Okay, and other victims. I'm just going to use these two as an example. So his statement of he wished he would have stayed with Irene, he didn't have control of that because Irene had decided to move out of town and get married. That marriage did not last. And I just fell in the hands of another abuser. Okay. I freed myself of that. See this pattern here? I've always freed myself in one way or the other. I'm here on this video not with any of these abusers. And I hope whether you're male or female, because men are abused also, they're financially abused. You got that empathetic man that knows how to love and provide, and he keeps meeting those gold diggers and stuff like that. So these videos are for males and females, men and women, boys and girls, whoever needs to learn this. I wouldn't even mind some teenagers hearing this, because maybe you're that teenager I used to be. You might need some extra help and support. So going back to why the boy is doing it, this boy slash man, he hasn't been stopped. And he'll never be stopped if people keep feeling sorry for him, right? So that old saying, everybody has their day one day. They used to say every dog has their day. They should say every bad dog has their day, right? So it's going to come a time in life when you will be dealt with. So that's why, I mean, he hasn't received the proper consequences. And that's because everybody stays silent when he does it. There's another particular person that's very close to him. She's a very beautiful woman, but she's still advocating for him. See, and that's the problem. He's been conditioned where people are going to advocate for him. They're going to feel sorry for him. Whether it's his mother, siblings. There's one sibling that won't speak to the man. I mean, this was a sibling that I watched him abuse when we were a teenager. He was repeatedly beating, chasing, taunting, cursing out, yelling at. He was allowed to abuse one of his siblings. And back then, I didn't understand what that was. I just knew that my heart felt sad when I would see his brother's eyes. His little brother had a beautiful smile. He had two brothers in the home, but one he was allowed to just torture. And his narcissistic mom allowed it. Her parenting style allowed it because oftentimes she was in another part of the house, and this boy, which was my boyfriend in high school, would be back in the other part of the house beating the crap out of his little brother. When I was young, it was that snitches get stitches type of mentality. I mean, I was at the time, I thought I was in love with this boy. Oftentimes I would be in shock. However, all of those things that I saw him do subconsciously gave me the courage to leave, right? So ultimately, why is it happening is because it hasn't been stopped. So it has to be stopped, right? So the Lord is going to put situations in your life for you to stop it. Why are you going to be the one to stop it? Because you're organized. You're not reacting. You're going to react, but it's not going to be through violence, right? So it's not stopped if you react in violence. that doesn't stop it, and that's not always the way it needs to be stopped. Now, if he comes through this door, he won't leave here the same. I promise you that. But like I said, these are over the phone threats. I'm going to avoid that happening. I'm not going to give this boy slash man my address. Okay? So you got to protect yourself. You don't go giving out your address. If someone suddenly that knows him wants to say, hey, we want to send you a nice gift, give them your mailing address. You should have a mailing address. You shouldn't be giving people your home address anyway. I don't get packages and stuff delivered to my home. I have a mailing address for that, right? So, you know, yeah, bottom line is this boy hasn't been stopped. There's been no true discipline. He's been male worshipped. Narcissistic mom, narcissistic family. And when I say narcissistic, I mean his mom may not fully have NPD. So remember, if she's just narcissistic, she has very little empathy there. However, she's smart enough to know that he's a demonic energy at this point. I mean, even the mom, being a senior citizen now, she knows something wrong with that man. However, the discipline was not there. He was allowed to project that violence even when he was in the home. He saw violence. His father, unfortunately, was a full-blown alcoholic. His father was beating on his mother. Can you imagine having a boyfriend and you're in high school and you go over there to his house and you go walk across through the living room and you kind of slightly see, just say hypothetically, his drunk dad snatch her nightgown off? I mean, for many years, I used to have flashbacks about this boy's home situation, right? I mean, it was a nightmare. And I mean, my heart goes out to his mom, but still, she still has this monster that she never disciplined. And I'm not a hypocrite, y'all. I have sons. I had a son that got a little out of pocket, right? I'm no hypocrite. That son no longer lives in my home. We have some level of communication, but I don't deal with it. I don't care if you're a husband or son. When you start the temperament, you have to go. It's time for you to move on. This is not the place for you. So, and the reason I'm that way is this. I watched this boy slash man from high school. I watched how his mama, basically, his mama ruined him. He might have would have turned out to be a better man if when he was beating up on his little brother, like there was some sort of teddy bear that he was allowed to get his anger out on that wouldn't hurt when he hit him. He was allowed to do that. So see, monsters are created because they were allowed to do this all along. You know, it's the mammies and the old battle axes. You know, some of these names they use for some of these old school women that just let them men do that crap. Why did she let him get away with so much? She knew he would be the one that was financially beneficial to her. I think that may be the son that was the most, here's some money, mama. So see, a lot of those old mammies, they allow a lot of that abuse upon or from those males because for one, they're male worshipers, right? So, and you got the same scenarios for the daddy's girls, the female worshipers. You know, the daddy's girls that, she was punching her dad in the jaw and he thought it was so funny. This is the same girl that grows up and shoots her boyfriend in the head because he didn't go buy her the right pair of shoes. You got some spoiled, ruined male and females out here. So, this is why this boy does it. He hasn't been stopped. And you got to realize when you are the one that is supposed to put it to a stop. You are supposed to do that. And see, that's the position that the Lord is putting me in. I'm supposed to be the one to just start putting a stop to this. And what does it mean to put a stop to it? For one, reversing your mindset. Snitches don't get stitches. People that don't snitch get the stitches, right? So, not caring about those old philosophies like snitches get stitches. I don't care about the stitches, right? I guess I'm just going to have to get some stitches if I snitch. So, speaking out. I've already spoke up to the abuser and said, no, this is not appropriate. So that's the beginning stage of it is it's happening to you so you can put a stop to it. And in my case, I'm going to be able to put a stop to it because I make no excuses for the behavior. I don't care that he's grieving. So am I. He doesn't care that I'm grieving. And he calling me all these names and threatening my life. Now you got another person doing it, which is the wicked lady that the devil has gave him. Another reason someone like that is doing it is because they feel their soul is already in jeopardy. It's one of those things where I might not be here very long anyway, so I'm just going to terrorize as many people as I can because I really think that this is how the abuser thinks. I really think that I'm going to have a seat in hell anyway. I had an abuser tell me that he was going to hell. Another narcissist. This is what he told me, that he knew he was going to hell for sure. At the time, I didn't get why somebody would say something like that. I've had some interesting conversations with narcissists. One of the things I can say about the narcissists in my life is they were very honest at some point. I mean, because I was always like their priest. They're coming in for confession. And that priest is behind that window or whatever. I've never been in a confession seat, but that priest is behind that window and you walk in the little confession room and you just say, hey, I just killed a few squirrels on my way to school. I just set a house on fire and burnt somebody's grandmama up in the house or something like that, So abusers, I was always like the female priest, or you can call me a nun, whatever you want to call me. I went to Catholic school for a period in my life, so I don't feel uncomfortable talking about a priest or a nun because I was around them when I attended Catholic school. So basically that's it. They express themselves to me. However, in this case, this abuser, this boy from high school, he just hasn't been stopped. I mean, he hasn't. Everybody feels so sorry for him. And at some point, they need to learn their lesson. Like, people are not going to feel sorry for you. See, you got to feel more sorry for yourself, right? And that's the position that I'm in my life. I'm able to feel sorry for myself. So you got to put a stop to it. And putting a stop to it involves Everybody must know about the threat. Everybody. Law enforcement, your attorney, however high it needs to go. The courts, the president, sheriffs, advocates, child protective services, everybody needs to know. You know about it right now. Your YouTube channel, everybody needs to know. That's the first step to putting a stop to it. Nothing stops in secrecy. No child is going to stop being molested or raped as long as just that child and that abuser knows what's going on. Other people have to start finding out. Oh, but this boy/man from high school, he's around minors, y'all. Another reason it's happening: addiction. He's a alcoholic. And according to what he told me, he's smoking some other stuff on the side too. And I'm just going to be honest with you. You know, when you go into the addiction realm, abusers don't need to smoke and drink. They just don't. They have enough issues mentally going on to where the alcohol, weed, heroin, cocaine, whatever they doing, cigarettes for some of them, whatever they're using to hide their problems or pacify it or put a band-aid on it, it ain't gonna help them. All it's gonna do is make it worse. But see, only empathic people understand that. That's another reason he's doing it too. I don't have addictions like that. He envies that. I'm the little girl from high school that got away, that don't need him. All I need to do is get my minor relatives out of his care. That's it. That's the fight and battle right there, is to get my young relatives the heck away from this man and this boy, right? So I may add to this in other videos, but that is some of the reason why they're doing it, is because, like I said, they haven't been stopped. So work towards stopping it. As of today, get you a manila envelope. Begin your to-do list of how you're going to stop it. Like I told you in the lesson number 2, episode 2, if you want to know more about things that I'm doing to stop it, you got to ask for my email and I'll begin communicating with you from there. I can't tell you everything on these videos right now because I can't have my enemy knowing everything that I'm doing. See, I'm a good-hearted woman. I want to go through my crisis and give you what I didn't have. Some form of support and knowledge as to why it's happening, what's happening, what you need to do about it, and give you some courage. So in this case, avoid, which is part of the name of my channel, Guide to Avoiding the Unhealthy, is you got to at first not avoid it. If I just go lay down and take a nap and don't talk about it and don't tell people and the proper legal resources, beginning with my attorney, then I can't stop it. I mean, I'll be able to avoid it more later, but initially, I can't keep away from it. I'm going to keep away from that man's home, and I'm going to make sure I'm not in a position. I mean, this boy is threatening me. This boy/man is threatening me. However, he has the nerves to say he'll file harassment charges against me, right? And I'm not harassing him. I am asking to speak with people I have a right to speak to. So, but those rights need to become on paper, right? I need to get those rights on paper because I'm dealing with the narcissist abuser. God knows what other mental illnesses he has. I mean, he's also in addiction. However, addiction looks different to everyone. Okay, he runs a company. That doesn't mean he's not addicted. That doesn't mean he's not a lunatic. That doesn't mean he's not a woman beater. That doesn't mean he's not a potential future rapist. It also doesn't mean that he's not already molested. I just talked about one of his siblings in this video that he abused. There's another one that he abused too. I'll get more into that later. However, this is lesson number 2. Or actually, I apologize. Lesson number 3, episode 3. Tune in for more. I already told you, you gotta like, share, and subscribe. This channel won't remain if you don't like, share, and subscribe. I'm already getting the views. I'm happy with as long as I'm getting views. But I need you to do more. I need you to comment too. I need you to be engaged on this channel. I will answer questions. Feel free to ask questions. They will be answered promptly. If you ask a question, you won't have to wait a week for a response. It will give me a notification that you left a comment, and I will be very happy to answer your questions. I have a lot of experience, and I continue to build experience. I don't know what line of work the Lord could be bringing me into other than just being on YouTube, because I love to help y'all. I love to fight an enemy the right way. I used to think I just loved to fight an enemy with my hands, because I fought an enemy like that too. Boom, boom, boom. You beat them down. I won it too. Like handcuff won it. But really, ultimately, the way I love to fight an enemy the most is the righteous way that the Lord would want me to. The Lord gets tired of people too. So if it happened that way, where another enemy was fought with these hands that the Lord gave me, that's how the Lord wanted that enemy handled at that point. That's all in the Lord's control too. But sometimes your enemy needs to be dealt with on a higher level. They need much more than just your fist or your foot up there, you know what, or whatever. Your foot kicking them on their ankle or something. I don't know, y'all. I'm just bringing up some crap. So anyway, this is lesson number 3, episode 3. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.